We once again urge the Ukrainian negotiators to strictly adhere to the agreements reached, as families back home are waiting for their sons and husbands.
Russia's chief negotiator at the Istanbul peace talks says Kiev has backed out of the deal reached on Monday in Turkey.
In full accordance with the agreements reached in Istanbul, we have prepared more than 6,000 bodies of Ukrainian armed forces soldiers, which are being stored in refrigerated containers and special train cars. Many of these bodies come with documentation for transfer to the Ukrainian side. We have also prepared lists of military personnel categorized as wounded, seriously ill, and young individuals under 25 years of age. We are ready to transfer approximately 1,200 individuals from our side to Ukraine without delay. We once again urge the Ukrainian negotiators to strictly adhere to the agreements reached, as families back home are waiting for their sons and husbands.
According to Russia's chief negotiator with Ukraine, Vladimir Medinsky, Moscow has already launched the transfer of more than 6,000 bodies of Ukrainian soldiers, as well as wounded, seriously ill, and those POWs who are under the age of 25. According to Medinsky, the first batch of 1,212 frozen bodies of Ukrainian soldiers is currently in refrigerated trucks at the agreed exchange site. The contact group of Russia's defense ministry is currently on a border with Ukraine at an agreed location, saying that the rest of the bodies are also on their way.
At present, a convoy with the first batch of bodies to be repatriated has arrived at the exchange area. The convoy contains 1,212 bodies. 3 more trains are being prepared for dispatch shortly, each carrying 1,200 bodies, along with 1 truck convoy that will also have 1,200 individuals. The total number will exceed 6,000.
Russia's presidential aide Vladimir Medinsky added that Ukraine has already received the first list of 640 prisoners of war in order to begin the agreed-upon exchange. However, the Ukrainian side unexpectedly postponed indefinitely both the acceptance of the bodies and the exchange of POWs. For some reason, their group of negotiators did not even show up at the exchange site. Medinsky said that Ukraine is given, different excuses, but they're all rather strange, and he urged Kiev to stick to the schedule and stick to all the agreements that were reached in the second round of talks in Istanbul. Ukraine's side, not surprisingly, they claim that Russia's statements are false, and it's hard to gauge what is actually false in this situation, as it's already the 7th of June, and the exchange should have already began, but Ukraine did not even show up. While Ukraine admits to the fact that the agreements have been reached in Istanbul, they're giving at the moment all sorts of reasons why it's not happening and why it's all Russia's fault, as always.
Regarding the repatriation of bodies, an agreement was indeed reached. However, a date was not agreed upon. Instead of following the established procedure, the Russian side resorted to unilateral actions that were not coordinated within the joint process. Unfortunately, rather than engaging in constructive dialogue, we are once again confronted with manipulations and attempts to use sensitive humanitarian issues for informational purposes. We urge the Russian side to stop these dirty games and return to constructive efforts to facilitate the return of individuals on both sides and clearly execute the agreement in the coming days.
And just a reminder, the sides agreed to exchange 1,200 individuals following the talks in Turkey, and Russia unilaterally offered the bodies of 6,000 Ukrainian soldiers and officers to be taken away so that their families can give them a proper burial. Vladimir Medinsky concluded that Russia always keeps its word, and he actually invited international media to see that for themselves.
Now, Roman, this all comes on the heels of last weekend's attacks by Kiev. As you well know, on Russian territory, we had the certain railways were sabotaged. We had the drone strikes on these strategic airfields as well. We also know Moscow then carried out retaliatory strikes, which actually sparked a curious comment from the American president. Can you take us through the developments, Roman?
Well, at the moment, Russia continues annihilating Ukraine's military infrastructure and actually launched group strikes overnight against various sites of the military-industrial complex of Ukraine, as well as workshops where attack drones are being assembled. Now, Defense Ministry reports that military equipment repair and ammunition depots were also attacked, and all those attacks were successful. Reports suggest that over 50 explosions were recorded in Kharkov, with several strikes hitting the territory of the Kommunar plant, which was previously involved in the assembly of combat modules for Neptune subsonic cruise missiles. In Dnepropetrovsk, the Dnepropetrovsk plant was subjected to a combined drone and missile attack. In Pavlograd, the local mechanical plant associated with the production of components for the military was also struck, and in the Odessa region, the launch pad for attack UAVs was destroyed, along with the radar station, which is involved in the Neptune guidance systems. There were also reports about a strike on a military site in Ternopil. Now, according to American President Donald Trump, Russia's massive strikes against Ukraine's military sites were expected after the terror spree of the Kiev regime. Here's Donald Trump.
On Russia-Ukraine, did the Ukraine drone strikes against the bombers inside Russia, the airfields, did that change your view at all of what Zelensky, the cards he has?
Well, they gave Putin a reason to go in and bomb the hell out of him last night. That's the thing I didn't like about it. When I saw it, I said, here we go. Now it's going to be a strike. You know.
Meanwhile, Zelensky continues his, peacocking tour in the Western media. When speaking to American press, he was visibly very, very proud of the fact that the drivers of the Russian trucks, which were used in the terrorist attacks against strategic air bases, just proud that they were completely unaware that they're carrying terrorist cargo. Here's Zelensky's reaction to that.
Russian drivers who had no idea.
They didn't know.
They didn't
The drivers didn't know what they do. Yeah, they just did their job.
Vladimir Putin has already pointed out the terrorist nature of the Kiev regime following the deadly attacks on passenger trains that claimed the lives of 7 people and wounded over 100 more. The terrorist attacks against strategic airfields, they took place nearly at the same time. Zelensky's statement to the American media about the fact that regular civilians were used blindly against their own country, that's yet another blatant proof that terrorism has become somewhat of an ideology for the regime in Kiev.